Honesty is associated with long life, falsehood with the shortening of existence. Proverbs 10:27 is not a religious slogan, it is a decree of God that transcends generations. When truth governs the heart, days gain breath. When lies direct choices, years lose ground. Today I want to lead you to this invisible axis that sustains longevity, according to the Word. Not mere counting of calendars, but also the sum of peace, health, honor, and legacy that remains. Now you can rest your mind and quiet your heart. Here, between pauses and breaths, we will alternate readings of Scripture with practical reflections. There will be brief moments of prayer and communion, so that the Word descends from text to life and from hearing to behavior. If the last few days have been noisy, if you feel your mind restless, sit and listen. No human counsel is as solid as the wisdom that the Lord inspired. Do not be startled by my way of speaking. For a unique and pedagogical immersive experience, I will speak to you as if I were King Solomon himself. It is a license of closeness so that my words in Scripture gain warmth, voice, and direction today. You will hear my heart as a king and as a son, my zeal for a clean name and for a table in peace. Listening in this way, the wise man perceives nuances that rushed readings do not reveal. Before we proceed, I want to pray for you. Lord of all truth, open now the ears of this God-fearing man. Purify his heart from any shadow of deceit. Give him courage to abandon shortcuts and love for the honesty that prolongs days. Establish his steps in your righteousness, so that his life may be long in years and wide in peace. Amen. If this has already begun to touch your spirit, make a simple and faithful gesture. Leave your like and subscribe now, not as a platform routine, but as a commitment to wisdom. So you will continue receiving counsel that builds the wise man, strengthening his walk with God and his responsibility before family and work. I want you to come closer to Scripture with me. Let us open the Bible in Proverbs chapter 10, starting in verse 24 and continuing to verse 32. I wrote that what the wicked fears will come upon him, but the desire of the righteous will be granted. I said that when the storm passes, the wicked vanish, but the righteous remain like a foundation that does not give way. I also said that laziness is like vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes. It irritates and weakens. I reaffirmed that the fear of the Lord prolongs days, but the years of the wicked are shortened. The hope of the righteous brings joy, but the expectation of the wicked will perish. The way of the Lord is a fortress for the upright, but ruin for those who do evil. I declared that the righteous will never be removed, but the wicked will not dwell in the land. I added that the mouth of the righteous brings forth wisdom, while the perverse tongue will be cut out, and concluded that the lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked what is perverse. What I wanted to teach here is simple and profound at the same time. Longevity is not just counting candles. It is remaining when storms come. It is having words that save bonds and decisions that prevent ruin. It is being a root, not a leaf carried by the wind. Let me illuminate this with two keys that will guide us throughout our encounter. When I speak of long life, I include the extension of years and the density of each day. I speak of sleep that rests, of a body less corroded by anxiety, of a reputation that protects, of preserved relationships, and of an immaterial inheritance that sustains your children. When I affirm that falsehood shortens, it is not just the calendar that shrinks. The quality of life diminishes, peace becomes short, respect evaporates, and the soul lives weary. Today we will walk step by step so that you embrace integrity as a long and secure path, and so that you abandon the haste and half-truths that have shortened what God desires to prolong. Integrity, the long and secure path. Let us open the word in Proverbs chapter 3, from verse 1 to 6. There I taught that if man keeps my instructions in his heart and does not forget them, his days will be prolonged and there will be peace. I added that mercy and truth should be bound around the neck, written on the tablet of the heart, because from this comes favor before God and men. What I meant is that it is not enough to speak of faithfulness. It must be a seal in character, a mark that shapes every decision. And I concluded by asking that one trust in the Lord with all his heart, not relying only on his own understanding, acknowledging the Most High in all paths, because he will direct the ways. Notice, wise man, that a long life is not just having many years, but years full of direction, peace, and stability. I will continue the reading in Proverbs chapter 4, verses 10 to 15. There I declared, "Hear my words, and your years will be multiplied." I taught that the path of wisdom is a straight road without stumbling, and that whoever embraces it walks safely, without fear. I also instructed to avoid the paths of the wicked and not to stop on trails of perversity. This is more than moral counsel. It is a strategy for the preservation of life. God-fearing man, when someone insists on crooked shortcuts, he may seem clever for a while, but he pays with physical wear, anxiety, and sleepless nights. On the other hand, he who walks the straight path finds a security that prolongs days and calms the heart. Now, I would like to read in Proverbs chapter 20, verses 6 to 10. I said that many proclaim their own loyalty, but a truly faithful man who can find? I emphasized that the righteous walks in integrity, and his children are blessed after him. And I declared that the Lord weighs the heart, not just appearances. I also highlighted that differing weights and dishonest measures are an abomination before the Most High. What I wanted to show here is that fraud contaminates everything. Those who manipulate scales, contracts, or reports shorten their days because they attract judgment and corrode their own peace. But the wise man who remains upright preserves himself and leaves a legacy of trust that spans generations. I will now jump to Proverbs chapter 14, verses 8 to 11. There I wrote that the wisdom of the prudent is to discern his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. I added that the house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. This is a strong promise. The prudent, who evaluates his steps and walks with integrity, builds a firm foundation for his house, while the dishonest lives on quicksand. God-fearing man, every small choice is a brick that sustains or brings down the structure of your life. Whoever builds on truth remains. Whoever builds on falsehood sees ruin arrive sooner than expected. Finally, let us go to Proverbs chapter 16, verses 31 to 33. There I said that gray hair is a crown of glory when found in the way of righteousness. I also taught that patience is better than strength, and that casting lots seems like a human decision. But from the Lord comes the right answer. With this, I showed that longevity, represented by gray hair, is the fruit of a just life. It is not chance, it is consequence, and that decisions under God's governance establish a firm future. Wise man, do you perceive? Integrity not only lengthens years, but gives weight of honor and stability to every decision. This is how one builds a life that remains. The mistake that shortens life without you noticing does not begin with great scandals or evident falls. It begins with small concessions that seem harmless. A little lie in the contract, an omission in the report, a twisted word in self-interest. These tiny shortcuts open cracks in the structure of the conscience, and what seemed like quick gain turns into invisible corrosion. Sleep begins to be stolen. Peace becomes short. The body sickens with tension, and the heart lives under the weight of fear of being discovered. God-fearing man, realize that every shortcut has a hidden cost, and the price is always higher than haste promised. Though that is why I used to say, I would rather lose today to remain tomorrow. I prefer a slow step on the straight path than to run on roads that lead to ruin. It is better to seem delayed and rest in peace than to advance quickly and live tormented. Those who seek shortcuts shorten their own lives without realizing it. For you who want to align yourself with integrity, I leave 3 practical codes of longevity. First, anticipatory transparency. Speak of difficult conditions before the agreement. Bring to light what may be a stumbling block. This avoids future conflicts and protects your peace. Second, link your word to deadlines. Do not say just yes or no, but set dates, because clarity calms hearts and preserves relationships. Wise men know that anxiety is born of uncertainty, and the certainty of a kept word multiplies days. Third, quick restitution. Did you err? Return before being exposed. Fix it before shame corrodes. This lengthens peace, saves reputation, and restores breath to the conscience. God-fearing man, these 3 codes are not just ethical practices. They are measures of life preservation. Those who apply them build a long road. Those who ignore them dig a deep hole under their own feet. Let us open together in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verses 11 to 13. I observed that because the sentence against an evil work is not executed quickly, the hearts of men are filled with courage to do evil. But I made it clear, even if the sinner does evil 100 times and prolongs his days, I know that it will be well with those who fear the Lord, but it will not be well with the wicked, nor will he prolong his days like a shadow. Wise man, what I wanted to show here is that there is no real impunity. It may seem that fraud prospers for a time, but God's judgment is inevitable. And those who fear the Lord prolong their days, not only because they live longer, but because they live with security and peace that evil cannot give. I also want to read what my father David wrote in Psalm 34, verses 12 to 18. He asked, "Who is the man who desires life and loves many days, that he may see good?" He answered that he must keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Turn away from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. And he added that the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. God-fearing man, what my father taught us is simple. Long life is directly connected to a sincere tongue and a peacemaking heart. If the mouth plants deceit, life is shortened. But if the lips guard truth and peace, God himself extends the years. Now let us go to Song of Songs, chapter 4, verses 12 to 15. There I described the beloved as a locked garden, a sealed fountain, and a spring of living waters. I spoke of pomegranates, of aromatic plants, of myrrh, aloes, and all the finest perfumes. Wise man, this image is a portrait of purity and faithfulness. Honesty preserves the heart like a locked garden, where life flourishes and bonds are strengthened. Those who keep sincerity like a sealed garden experience a fragrant life, lasting bonds and abundant harvest of love. And I could not fail to mention what is in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 32 to 33. There the Lord commanded that we walk in all the way that he has ordered, not turning aside either to the right or to the left, so that we may live and prolong our days upon the land. God-fearing man, this means that longevity is the result of walking exactly as the Lord commanded. It is not the work of chance, it is obedience that preserves. Truth in the steps prolongs days and establishes inheritance for the children. And I say something that few want to hear. Many shorten their years by sustaining an image. They live on half-truths to maintain status. They appear strong but pay with chronic anxiety, restless hearts, and sleepless nights. Wise man, realize that a clear conscience is worth more than passing applause. Those who choose truth may lose immediate praise, but gain years of serenity. Those who seek status at the cost of lies may receive applause for a time, but pay with health, bonds, and peace. Therefore, I leave you a simple plan, a 30-day path to consolidate integrity. In the first week, map pending promises and deliver new realistic dates. In the second, standardize documents, contracts, and budgets with clear and transparent clauses. In the third, restore what is owed, whether values, apologies, or public corrections. And in the fourth, establish a mentorship of integrity, someone trustworthy to review your practices monthly. God-fearing man, long life is not the fruit of speeches but of concrete steps. Those who apply discipline of integrity build a safe road and generate a legacy that remains. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Allow your heart to quiet before the Lord. Wise man, this is an interval of communion, not to distract yourself, but to align yourself. Breathe deeply and confess where you have taken shortcuts, where truth was left aside. Ask for strength to abandon deceit and courage to remain in integrity. Ask the Most High to restore your conscience and give you rest in truth. This is the time to let honesty become prayer, not beautiful words, but sincere surrender. Say to the Lord, I do not want shortcuts, I want straight paths. I do not want deceitful haste, I want lasting permanence. And while you pray, realize that God Himself bends His ear to the upright in heart. He will not be outdone in generosity. And I give you a practical suggestion. Write your prayer request in the comments. Say your name and your challenge, and then choose a comment from another brother and pray for him. This is how brotherhood is strengthened. This is how truth spreads. Wise man and God-fearing man, when you intercede for another, the Lord multiplies blessing upon your own life. Because long life is not built alone. It flourishes in community, in mutual prayer, in shared truth. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now. Honesty that heals bonds and attracts favor. I want to open now the Song of Songs, chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. There I wrote, Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Pleasing is the fragrance of your perfumes. Your name is like perfume poured out. Therefore the maidens love you. Take me with you, let us hurry. The king has brought me into his chambers. We will rejoice and be glad in you. Wise man, realize that I use the image of perfume to speak of the name, of reputation. An upright name is like a fragrance spread. It attracts respect, sustains love, and strengthens the bond over the years. Honesty is the perfume that keeps the flame of the relationship alive. Let us move on to Proverbs chapter 3, verses 21 to 26. I advised, My son, do not let these things depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, for they will be life to your soul and grace to your neck. Then you will walk safely in your way, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of the desolation of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence, and will keep your foot from being caught. God-fearing man, what I meant to teach here is that truth within the home brings sweetness to sleep. The heart pacified by honesty calms the home and lengthens the days. I would also like to read in Proverbs chapter 17, verses 13 to 20. I declare that he who repays good with evil will never depart evil from his house, that he who loves strife loves transgression, that a perverse heart will never find good, and that a deceitful tongue will fall into evil. Wise man, realize that falsehood and betrayal corrode bonds. Homes are broken, friendships are severed, partnerships dissolve, but honesty plants peace and prolongs alliances. I also wrote in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verses 7 to 10. I advised, Go eat your bread with joy and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already accepted your works. Enjoy life with the wife you love all the days of your vain life, for that is your portion in life. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might. God-fearing man, here I wanted to show that sincere dedication at home and at work prolongs the meaning of days. Living with joy, faithfulness, and commitment gives quality and longevity to life. And I will read in Proverbs chapter 22, verses 11 and 12. I said that he who loves purity of heart and has grace on his lips will have the king as his friend, and that the eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the unfaithful. Wise man, what I meant to teach is that sincerity opens doors. Even authorities bow before an upright name. Honesty attracts the favor of God and the respect of men. There are signs that reveal when a man's heart is divided, and these signs manifest in relationships long before they appear in greater tragedies. One of them is incoherent speech, the word that changes tone according to convenience. At work promises more than can be fulfilled. At home adjusts speech to avoid confrontation. In church appears saintly, and in the street lives by shortcuts. Wise man, realize that this type of incoherence does not go unnoticed. Those around feel the instability, even if they say nothing. And every time your word loses firmness, a brick is removed from the wall of trust, until one day the wall collapses. Another sign is the presence of financial secrets. Within marriage, when one hides accounts from the other, or in partnerships, when small omissions become holes in the cash flow. The bond sickens, because transparency is the blood that runs through the veins of any covenant. Without it, the body of the relationship begins to weaken. God-fearing man, learn, hiding money is like hiding disease. At first it seems to protect, but in truth it only delays healing and worsens the condition. There are also public compliments accompanied by private criticism. How many homes and companies have already collapsed because of this? The same who smiles before the crowd is the one who wounds in the silence of the walls, and the heart that receives this double treatment does not flourish, it only withers. The truth is that honor must be continuous. If there is something to correct, let it be corrected with love and clarity. If there is something to celebrate, let it be celebrated both before others and in private. And no less dangerous is silence used as a weapon. When someone stops speaking not out of prudence but out of manipulation, the pause that should be pacifying becomes punishment. This silence is not the fruit of wisdom, but of pride. And where it settles, affection is suffocated. Wise man, learn from me. Silence is only a virtue when it guards peace. When it is used as punishment, it is poison that corrodes bonds. Therefore I say to you, establish a covenant of truth. Do not wait for transparency to appear by itself. Create weekly review spaces. Sit with your wife, with your partner, with your children. Review together finances, schedules, and expectations. God-fearing man, where the light enters, the shadow flees, and where truth settles, years are prolonged. Now let me show you a model of sincerity that builds. The first step is restorative listening. It is not just hearing, it is repeating with your own words what the other said before responding. This shows respect, reduces misunderstandings, and calms hearts. Wise man, when you practice this type of listening, you make room for truth to be received and not rejected. Then comes objective confession, admitting faults without justifications, without embellishments, without shifting blame. Simply assuming the truth with simplicity. This attitude, although costly, disarms resistance, because confession opens the way for healing. But confession alone is not enough. There must be concrete reparation. It is when the word turns into action, when an apology gains deadlines and criteria. For example, if there was a delay in a commitment, let there be a new clear date. If there was a financial fault, let there be a planned restitution. If there was disrespect, let there be visible change of attitude. God-fearing man, Reparation is living proof that sincerity did not remain just in speech. And finally, vigilance of the tongue. Because a confession can be annulled if the tongue continues to wound. The wise man learns to give gentle responses, firm, but without irony, chooses words that build, not that scratch. Whoever watches his tongue builds a wall around his house. This model of sincerity is not distant theory. It is the foundation of any bond that desires to last. And whoever practices it will see his relationships prosper in years in peace and in honor. God-fearing man, learn this. Truth may hurt at the moment, but lies rot in the long run. Only sincerity builds houses that remain standing. Let us open together the book of Psalms, chapter 101, verses 2 to 7. My father David wrote, "I will be careful to lead a blameless life. When will you come to me? I will walk in my house with a blameless heart. I will set before my eyes no vile thing. I hate the deeds of faithless men. They will not cling to me. Men of perverse heart shall be far from me. I will have nothing to do with evil. Whoever slanders his neighbor in secret, him I will put to silence. Whoever has haughty eyes and a proud heart, him I will not endure. My eyes will be on the faithful in the land, that they may dwell with me. He whose walk is blameless will minister to me. No one who practices deceit will dwell in my house. No one who speaks falsely will stand in my presence. Wise man, what my father declared is that integrity begins inside the home. It is not enough to appear upright in public. It is at the table, in the bedroom, in daily dealings, that honesty proves its worth. If the house is governed by deceit, there is no wall that can sustain it. But if it is founded on truth, it remains. Now we return to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verses 23 to 29. I wrote that I sought to know wisdom, investigated, searched for reasons and conclusions, and found that more bitter than death is the woman whose heart is snares and nets, whose hands are chains. He who pleases God will escape from her, but the sinner will be taken by her. I concluded that God made man upright, but they sought many devices. God-fearing man, here I show that the seduction of deceit is subtle. It may look like beauty, but it is a snare. It may look like advantage, but it is a prison. And the root lies in the heart that abandons uprightness to seek artifices. Integrity is the only way that frees from the net of deceit. I want now to read in Proverbs chapter 6, verses 12 to 19. I describe the man of Belial, the vile man, who walks with a perverse mouth, who winks with his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his fingers, in whose heart is perversity, who devises evil at all times and sows discord. Therefore his calamity shall come suddenly. And I listed 6 things the Lord hates, and a 7th that his soul abhors: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are swift to run to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. Wise man, there is no doubt, falsehood is abomination before God, and each of these practices shortens the days, because it attracts judgment and ruin. And finally, let us go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 15 to 20. Moses declared, "See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil. If you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, walking in his ways, you will love the Lord your God, and you will live and multiply. But if your heart turns away and you will not hear and are drawn away to worship other gods, you will surely perish. Your days will not be prolonged upon the land. I call heaven and earth today as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, that both you and your descendants may live, loving the Lord your God, obeying his voice, and holding fast to him. For he is your life and the length of your days. God-fearing man, the choice is always before us, and integrity is this path of life. When we choose truth, we choose to prolong the days. When we choose deceit, we choose to shorten our own existence. Wise man see how Scripture is one voice. David taught integrity within the home. I showed how artifices and nets of deceit imprison. The word declared that the lying tongue and unjust hands are abomination. And Moses summed it all up by saying, choose life. Do you see? Fear of the Lord, truth on the lips, and faithfulness in covenants are the road of longevity. Where there is integrity, there is life. Where there is deceit, there is shortening. There is a silent lie that many carry, the idea that hiding is protecting, that by concealing a painful truth, they spare the heart of those they love. But wise man, this is only an illusion. Omission may delay pain, but it does not eliminate it. On the contrary, it rots the root of the bond and causes trust to slowly die suffocated. Truth, well spoken, heals, even if it burns at the moment, but lies comfort for an instant and open wounds that worsen over time. God-fearing man realize how much this thought distorts the essence of love. Hiding something serious from your wife, your children, your friend, or your brother in faith is not protection. It is dishonor. It is denying them the right to deal with the truth and to grow with it. Those who hide think they are preserving the other, but in reality they are preserving themselves, fleeing from shame, confrontation, or responsibility. And this flight shortens the days because it corrodes inner peace and robs emotional health. Honesty, even when difficult, is the only path of long life for any bond. And if you want not only to maintain, but to strengthen your relationships, follow a triad of lasting relational favor. The first part of this triad is continuous clarity. It is not enough to tell the truth only when pressured. It is necessary to create a routine of explicit expectations and periodic reviews. Wise man, when each part knows what to expect from the other, the ground of the bond becomes firm, and years of peace are added. The second part is justice in small things. Do not despise small accounts, short deadlines, or seemingly irrelevant gestures, because it is exactly in these details that trust is built. He who is faithful in little is trusted in much. God-fearing man, if you are just in small portions, you will be building a wall of protection for great alliances. And the third part is memory of grace. It is not allowing the bond to forget the victories already won, the reparations already made, the changes that have already happened. Record, celebrate, remember. Because remembered grace renews hope and strengthens the bond. Wise man lies erase and destroy, but truth celebrated adds years of communion. This triad is simple but powerful. Continuous clarity, justice in small things, and memory of grace. Whoever practices these three disciplines experiences not only stronger relationships, but also longer life. Because where there is honesty in bonds, there is peace in the heart. And where there is peace in the heart, the days are multiplied. Honesty that prospers, health, work, and provision. Let us open Proverbs chapter 21, verses 21 to 23. I wrote, "He who follows after righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness, and honor. Whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles." Wise man, realize with me, honesty is more than a moral value. It is a path of preservation. Following righteousness and mercy is opening doors of long life and true respect. And controlling the tongue is caring for one's own health, because many fall ill by speaking too much and deceitfully. Integrity in speech and action translates into prolonged life and a soul at peace. Now let us go to Proverbs chapter 14, verses 26 to 35. There I taught that in the fear of the Lord there is strong confidence, and it will be a refuge for the children. That the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to turn one away from the snares of death. I also said that he who is slow to anger is of great understanding, but he who is hasty of spirit exalts folly. I declared that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. God-fearing man, what I wanted to show is that the fear of the Lord gives stability not only to the individual, but to generations and even to nations. Honesty sustains not only personal life, but the destiny of families and entire peoples. I would like to read in Proverbs chapter 16, verses 12 to 15. There I recorded that kings abhor doing evil, for the throne is established by righteousness. I said that the delight of kings is in a servant who speaks right words, and that the wrath of the king is a messenger of death, but a wise man will appease it. I added that in the light of the king's face is life, and his favor is like a cloud of the latter rain. Wise man, see that even the powerful bow before uprightness. Honesty opens doors before authorities, while fraud closes paths. Integrity generates favor and sustains thrones. I also want to open Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verses 12 to 20. I said that the words of a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool will swallow him up. That the beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is wicked madness. I showed that laziness causes the roof to sag, and idleness of the hands leads to house leaks, and that not even in thought should one curse the king, for the birds of the air may carry your voice. God-fearing man, what I wanted to teach here is that honesty is also in diligent work and careful speech. Laziness and deceit corrode structures, but diligence and truth preserve resources over time. And finally, let us go to the Song of Songs, chapter 8, verses 8 to 12. There I used the image of the vineyard. I said, "We have a little sister who has no breasts. What shall we do for our sister on the day she is spoken for? If she is a wall, we will build upon her a palace of silver. If she is a door, we will enclose her with boards of cedar. I am a wall, and my breasts like towers." Then I was in his eyes as one who found peace. Solomon had a vineyard at Baal-Hamon. He leased the vineyard to keepers. Each one was to bring for its fruit 1,000 pieces of silver. My vineyard, which is mine, is before me. Wise man, what I wanted to teach here is that true prosperity is the result of responsible stewardship. Taking care of what is yours with faithfulness is like guarding a vineyard. Honesty is the fence that protects, and from it springs abundant provision. Those who manage with uprightness experience lasting peace and favor. Many, when faced with the opportunity to grow, lose themselves, and it is not for lack of talent nor of effort, but because they let greed disguise itself as ambition. Wise man, see how this happens. At the beginning, the search is for legitimate progress, for the support of the family and honor of the name. But little by little, healthy desire becomes corrupted, and the haste to achieve more becomes a trap. Promises are made beyond capacity. Suppliers and employees are pressed unjustly. Contracts are twisted to favor only one side. And what seemed like advancement reveals itself as ruin under construction. Greed shortens years because it sickens the heart and sows distrust. God-fearing man, I say, it is not growth itself that destroys, but growth without holy limits. To prosper with righteousness is a blessing. To prosper with dishonesty is poison. Therefore, I advise, keep honest margins in every negotiation. Establish feasible deadlines in every promise. Write clear clauses in every contract. Create channels of transparency with your team, because those who grow righteously remain, but those who rise by deceit fall too soon. And here is the forgotten secret that generates trust before God and men. Verifiable consistency, being the same in public and in private. Living in such a way that if someone looks inside your life, they will see the same standard you show outside. This coherence is rare but precious. Wise man, when your life is transparent, God honors you and men trust. Another point is devotional accounting, presenting your life, your business, your decisions before God, reviewing your actions monthly before Him, asking, "What I cannot show the Lord, I cannot keep." This constant exercise not only cleanses the heart, but lengthens the days, because it prevents small deviations from becoming great ruins. And lastly, documented restitutions. It is not enough to confess errors in secret. It is necessary to repair in a clear and verifiable way. Written agreements, witnesses in reconciliations, records of restitutions. This creates lasting trust. God-fearing man, he who restitutes in a concrete way, shows that he values peace above pride. And this gesture prolongs his life and strengthens his name. Let us open together the book of Psalms chapter 26, verses 1 to 12. My father David declared, "Judge me, Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted in the Lord without wavering. Examine me and test me. Probe my heart and my thoughts. For your kindness is before my eyes, and I have walked in your truth. I have not sat with false men, nor do I go with dissemblers. I hate the assembly of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. I wash my hands in innocence, and so I will walk, Lord, around your altar, to proclaim with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all your wonders." Wise man, notice how integrity is not only external behavior, but posture before God. Clean hands, a proven heart, and a mouth full of praise. This triad sustains longevity because a life of integrity is guarded by the Lord himself. Now let us return to Proverbs chapter 9, verses 10 to 12. There I wrote, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For through me your days will be multiplied, and years of life will be added to you. If you are wise for yourself, and if you mock, you alone will bear it." God-fearing man, here is a clear decree. It is not cleverness that prolongs the days, but the fear of the Lord. Every step guided by the Holy One adds years. Every mockery against the truth shortens one's own journey. I also want to open in Leviticus chapter 19, verses 35 to 37. The Lord commanded, "Do not commit injustice in judgment, in measurement of length, weight, or quantity. You shall have just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and perform them." Wise man, here is the root of honesty. Correct measures are worship to the holy God. When you act with justice in contracts, in negotiations, in reports, you are worshiping the Lord more than with songs. And this preserves your life and sustains your name. And finally, let us go to Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verses 1 to 6. I wrote, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it. Give a portion to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. If the clouds are full, they pour rain upon the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. As you do not know what is the way of the wind, nor how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the works of God who makes everything. In the morning sow your seed, and in the evening do not withhold your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be good. God-fearing man, this is the discipline of constant sowing. It is not about waiting for perfect conditions, but working faithfully. He who sows consistently, without deceit and without laziness, will see his harvest multiplied in due time. And this faithful rhythm prolongs life and ensures lasting provision. Many believe they are blocked, when in fact they are just living the natural rhythm of an honest harvest. Wise man, realize this with me. When results come more slowly, but come with stability, this is not delay, it is preservation. Those who walk in integrity do not experience false peaks of success, but solid constancy. And this constancy, even if it seems slow, prolongs the days and strengthens the name. If your sleep is better, if your anxiety is less, if your bonds remain, then there is no blockage. There is faithfulness being rewarded little by little. God-fearing man, see that honest life always produces long-term fruits. Relationships that last decades, clients or partners who return, children who trust, a name that gains weight in the community. These are not momentary victories, but legacies. And legacy is built step by step. Do not confuse constancy with stagnation. The righteous do not run like fools, but walk securely, because they know that the time of harvest will come, and when it comes, it will be lasting. Therefore, I leave you a checklist of financial and health integrity. The first point is clean flow. Keep notes, taxes, contracts, and licenses up to date. Do not play with obligations, because each deviation is a crack that sooner or later exacts its price. The second point is a routine of rest. Set aside a real weekly rest. Wise man, the body that rests does not seek shortcuts. The mind that breathes does not get lost in haste. And the third point is a panel of difficult truths, a visible list of what needs to be said or adjusted this month. Who, when, and how. This simple exercise prevents the accumulation of omissions from shortening your peace. God-fearing man, see how these practices are not only administrative, they are spiritual. The clean flow honors the holy God who asked for just measures. The weekly rest obeys the principle established since creation. And the courage to face difficult truths is the opposite of deceitful omission. Those who practice this prolong their years and multiply serenity. Those who ignore it live rushing and reap the weight of haste. Now allow yourself to be silent. Wise man, close your eyes and present before the Lord those areas where you need to align with integrity. Perhaps there are restitutions to make, promises to fulfill, contracts to correct. Difficult truths to say. Ask for courage, ask for strength. Ask that the Holy Spirit give you boldness to live in the truth. God-fearing man, this is not about pretty words, but about real decision. While you pray, imagine the Lord inclining himself to listen, because his ears are attentive to the cry of the righteous. Consecrate your practical decisions of integrity now. Commit yourself to restitute, to correct, to confess what is necessary. Present before him what needs to be adjusted, and receive from the Most High the peace that prolongs your days, the wealth that time cannot corrupt. Honesty prolongs the days because it aligns the fear of the Lord, truth on the lips, and faithfulness in bonds. Falsehood shortens because it sickens the soul, splits homes, and corrodes businesses. Wise man, see with me. Prosperity that remains is born of integrity. It cannot be stolen by time nor corroded by circumstances. I leave you the tripod of the wise man before God. Practice, just measures, fulfilled word, swift restitution. Purpose, fear of the Lord, contentment, daily gratitude. Relationships, sincerity, reparation, celebration of a good name. Whoever establishes his life on this tripod builds a house that does not shake and a name that does not fade. Live as a God-fearing man. Choose the truth today. Little with peace and a clean name is worth more than much with a guilty conscience, because prosperity that remains is not born of shortcuts, but of straight steps. Wise man, it is not enough to hear, it is necessary to practice. Stay with us on this channel. Share this video with someone who needs to break with the shortcuts of falsehood. And remember, here there is a community of prayer and applied wisdom, where together we grow in integrity and prolong our days before the Lord.